everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Angie. It's nice to have you guys here today. Today I have another books I've been reading lately video. I've got my sticky notes, I've got my Kindle, and I am ready to dive in. So I've got 6 books. I've got another mix, but these are all mostly, I'd say these are all generally romances and generally comedies, or at least books that have funny moments in them. So diving right in, so this video isn't a million hours long. First book was A Cornish Cottage by the Sea by Jane Linfoot. First of all, the cover of this was just so pink and cute and adorable, and I just loved it. So like that alone made me want to read it. And I was reading this at a time when I was really struggling to read. Nothing seemed good. Nothing was making me feel better. It was during the middle of all of the home improvement air conditioning drama that I was going through in July, and I was struggling to read. I was struggling to focus between the AC issues, but then also just I'd been cooped up at home since March, and the pandemic was like really getting to my head, and like I was not in a good place, and so I just really needed something calming and cozy and relaxing to read that just really wouldn't be that mentally taxing. It was a fairly long book. I think it was around 500 pages. It did take me a long time to read it. I think under normal circumstances, I would have read it in like 2 days. But I really just couldn't focus, and so it did take me several days. I kind of read it over the course of a week, and I would just kind of read for like 30 minutes or an hour, but it was 30 minutes or an hour of just pure escapism. I really did love this book. It's about a young woman who is recovering from a stroke, and she's already kind of had a bit of a rough time with a rough breakup, and then she has this medical crisis, and she ends up going to stay with her aunt in Cornwall in a Cornish cottage by the sea, hence the title, while she kind of recovers and while she just takes some time to figure things out, kind of recover from the worst effects that she has been left with from the stroke before she's able to kind of go back to work. It's just kind of about her journey, but then all of the kind of quirky, interesting villagers that she meets while she's there, her relationship with her aunt, the handsome neighbor down the lane. I loved it. It was heartwarming, it was endearing. I loved the cast of characters. Every character just feels so richly developed, even though some of them, like, they're not in there that much, but even though it's not particularly set at like Christmas time, it's kind of set over the course of the summer, like the high season of this coastal village. It just has this really cozy vibe that I think is perfect for this time of year, and was perfect for when I read it and kind of the feel that I was going for and really craving in my books. Highly recommend if you're looking for just a cozy, heartwarming, relaxing, cozy romance. How many times can I say cozy in this video? It's gonna come up again with at least one of these other books. So then the next book was Black Girls Must Die Exhausted and Baby Makes Two by Jane Allen. So this is the sequel to Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, which I've reviewed on this channel before. I think that was like in book review video 2 or 3. It might have been number 3. I read it a while back. I want to say like I read it in June, which, is it just me or does June just feel like a lifetime ago? Absolutely loved it. Immediately downloaded the second book because it was out. She's now working on the 3rd book, so that's not out yet. That is forthcoming. I downloaded the second book right away, but I didn't read it right away. So it picks up with Tabby's story, Tabitha Walker, kind of where it has left off from the first book, and just continues with her journey. I don't want to say too much, because if you haven't read book 1, anything I say about book 2 is probably going to spoil book 1. And I don't want to do that, because you should read book 1. So go back and watch my review of the first book, and then just know if you enjoy the first book, I highly recommend the second one. The second book definitely lives up to what I felt for the first book. I really enjoyed it. I loved seeing where all the characters went. I loved following the extension and the continuation of their journey. Jane Allen's writing is fantastic. The way that she writes her characters, the way that she develops her characters and her plot lines and her plot arcs is really well done. So both as a reader and as a writer, I enjoy reading her work because she's just a really good writer. So yeah, I really do highly recommend The Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I think it's going to be a trilogy, so the first two are out now, and I highly recommend them both. Next book on the list is The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. I've read Josie Silver's work in the past. I absolutely loved One Day in December. This definitely has a different feel, different story. I'd say One Day in December is definitely, I think that's the title of it, is definitely much more of a rom-com romance. This is, it's got romance in it, but it's more a journey of self-discovery for the main character, Lydia Bird. So it starts off, she's tragically lost her fiancé in a car accident, and she's obviously grief-stricken and absolutely devastated, and she's not sleeping, and so she is given some sleeping tablets by her doctor, and upon taking them she starts having what could just be vivid dreams or it could be magic. It depends on how you want to interpret the book. But they basically open up this door for her to be in this alternate life, this kind of parallel universe where he's still alive. And so the book alternates between when she's sleeping and in this life with him, and when she's awake and how her life is trying to continue in the real world. And so it's got this slightly magical, double world, parallel universe, alternate universe type of a feel. I'd say if you are a fan of, there were some elements of the film about time that definitely kind of, they're different, but it's that same kind of feel where there are these kind of lighthearted rom-com moments, but then there are also these moments that just make you think, which reminds me, I need to rewatch that film because it's been a while. But yeah, it just, it has these like really fun, funny, lighthearted rom-com moments, but then it also has these moments and these passages in the text that just really make you think and that just really kind of grip you, are just beautifully written. The journey that the character goes on, the choices that she kind of has to make in terms of she can't stay in this other world. She has to pick one of these lives. Overall, I really enjoyed the book. There were some choices that I didn't fully agree with. There were some things that just felt a bit too predictable, a bit too cliche, and I didn't really feel like the lead up to the end result of those choices had been successful enough to make me buy into them or like fully believe them as a reader and like be rooting for that, if you know what I mean. But overall, I still, the predictability and the cliched aspects of it weren't enough to turn me off completely. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The writing overall was good. It is a good kind, it's a long book. You can really kind of sink your teeth into it and really kind of enjoy it and stretch it out over a couple days. Really did enjoy that one. Then the next one, switching gears a bit, I finally read Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, and oh my gosh, I absolutely loved it. I knew I would because I adore the film. If you've never seen the film Crazy Rich Asians, I would definitely say watch the film first and then read the book, unless you're the type of person who has to read the book first, because I do think I would have been, I don't know if I would have been disappointed by the film, but they definitely changed things. So if you're someone like me, I was talking about this book with a friend who had seen the film, loves the film as much as I do, but still hadn't read the book because she just wasn't sure about the book. Her point, which I do kind of agree with, is she doesn't usually like romances written by male authors. I tend to agree. This has become one of the rare exceptions. I think because in the book it's less about the romance and more just about these people and the culture that they live in and the culture shock that Rachel has upon kind of entry into this culture. It's less about the romance and more about just that journey that she goes on and all of these characters. What I appreciated about the book, as well as someone who has watched the movie a few times, is the book goes into more detail in a lot of the characters. So in the film, I love the main characters, the two main characters, and their romance, their love story, and their journey. But I also really loved the character Astrid, and she's just kind of, she's there in the film, and she does have her own subplot within the film, but it's definitely a much more secondary plot compared to the main plot. But she has a much bigger, it's almost like a parallel plot in the book. So I'd say there are a few other characters like that who just kind of get mentioned in passing in the film, or you just kind of see them in some of the scenes, but they're not driving forces in the film, that have a much bigger role in the book. And so I really enjoyed the book, because sometimes in films that kind of will happen. Well, there will be characters that I really enjoy, but they're just not that big of a part in the film, and so like I just wonder more about those characters. And so in the book, all of those questions were kind of answered. There were some things with her plotline that they definitely changed in the film, I think, to make her plotline fit in a shorter story arc. And so there were some things in the book that, with a few of the characters, that I'm like, I'm not entirely sure about that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I am going to read the sequel. I'm going to get that from the library soon. Next book, second to last for this video, is the book Of Literature and Lattes by Catherine Ray, R-E-A-Y. In the last video, I think it was in video number 5, I mentioned her book, The Austen Escape. So I was really intrigued by her writing. I'd heard interesting things about the book Of Literature and Lattes. I saw it was available through the library, so I put in a holds request. It came up available, so it was the next one of hers that I read. There's a few books from her that I want to read. So again, when I find a new author or a new series that I like, it's tempting to just like do a deep dive and read all of their books. But I like to kind of space things out, especially for the purposes of these videos. But Of Literature and Lattes is, I think, if I'm reading correctly, it's a second or possibly third in a series set in the town, and it's a town called Winsome. So this town is kind of your quintessential small town near a big city. It's meant to be kind of a commuter town to Chicago, but it's that kind of all-American small town, lots of cute independent shops. I could tell from the book description that it was kind of another book, because it said, the description, like, return to Winsome, Illinois, in this, you know, heartwarming, cozy romance or whatever. I can't remember exactly how it was written. But as I was reading the description, it didn't seem like you had to have read them. I want to go back and read those other books, but having read this one, it definitely stands on its own. I didn't feel like I was really missing that much. There wasn't a ton of exposition in terms of filling you in on what you've missed, but it still had that feeling of being kind of a standalone. It could be read on its own, which I appreciate that. I just loved the vibe I got off of this book. So this book is also, I would categorize it as that kind of cozy romance, cozy small town vibe, heartwarming, endearing. Another book where you've got kind of the main character who is coming back to town. She's kind of coming back almost in shame. She'd had this really great job in Silicon Valley working for a med tech company, kind of like Theranos, that, like Theranos, gets involved in this huge scandal and gets shut down by the FBI. And so she has no job. She's not really employable, because as soon as people find out that's where she worked, no one wants to hire her. So she kind of just has to return home. It's about her learning how to trust herself again, and kind of putting the past in the past and being able to move forward and restart her career. There's also the main male character has just moved to this town, has bought the local coffee shop, has renovated it, reopened it, and is now trying to make a go of this business while not really understanding the locals and what the coffee shop had represented to them and what they kind of needed in a coffee shop. It's just a really cute story. Again, I'm going to use the cozy word a lot, but it felt really cozy and heartwarming, and the cast of characters is really fun and interesting. Yeah, I loved the story. The character development was pretty good. There were some things where I felt like, I'm not entirely sure, but the character kind of comes around eventually. But overall, I felt like the character development and the plot development was really good in this one, so I did enjoy it. And then the last book for this video is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This has been on my radar for a while. I keep seeing it pop up on my Instagram feed. A few other people whose recommendations I've trusted in the past have read it and enjoyed it, and so it was one that I thought I would give it a try. I found it on Amazon as an ebook for only like $7. So I downloaded it probably about a month ago and just had other books that I was reading first, but finally decided to give it a try. I know I say this a lot, but I loved it. I need to come up with some other adjectives because I feel like I've said I loved it about all of these books, but it's different things that I'm loving about them. But yeah, I love this book. I thought it was hilarious. So it's about the son of an aging rock star who has kind of lived in obscurity. Like, he's only famous because he's the son of this rock star, and he's gotten into issues in the past. So his name's Luke. So Luke has gotten into issues that have been covered by the paparazzi, and again, the only reason the paparazzi and the tabloids care about him is because of who his father is, so he can't just kind of live a normal life. But the most recent tabloid scandal kind of gets him into trouble at work, and he needs to kind of rehabilitate his image. And so his friend gives him the idea of finding a fake boyfriend. Of all of the possible candidates, the one person that kind of gets put forward is someone who he does not get along with. They don't really like each other, so enter Oliver, stage right. So it's about Luke and Oliver and their fake relationship that, as any book that uses the fake relationship trope, this isn't spoiling anything, they start to develop feelings for each other. And so then it's about like the real relationship, and can the real relationship work, and it gets into each of their problems and why relationships for them haven't worked in the past, all of their fears, all of their insecurities. And it felt so, the relationship between the two of them and the relationship between Luke and his other friends just felt so realistic. There are some characters in the book that definitely feel like caricatures. They definitely feel like they're put in for comedic purposes. It's a hilarious book. I laughed so much. I felt like this book and Crazy Rich Asians were the two books that I was just cackling while I was reading it. I mean, I was just laughing hysterically because just the dialogue in both is so funny. But the dialogue and the characters, also the kind of characterization in both, like they both have like these really relatable, realistic characters, but also these just really outlandish, ridiculous characters. So in Boyfriend Material, I just felt like the main relationships and the main characters that are focused on just feel like I could just picture Luke and all of his friends, and I could picture Oliver so perfectly. So the characterization in this book is just so well done that the characters just seem to leap off the page, and all of their choices and all of their decisions just make perfect sense. And so you just get swept up into the story because it just feels so believable, even though it's fiction, even though it's definitely kind of rom-com, which is meant to be a bit silly and a bit out there. It just you just get so swept up into it. So I absolutely loved it. It was one of those books where I didn't want to stop reading, but I also didn't want the book to end. And I really kind of want a sequel with these two characters. I don't know if there ever will be. I don't know what the sequel would involve, but I just feel like I need more of Luke and Oliver in my life because they're just such an adorable couple, and their fears and their insecurities and their worries for a relationship just in general, but then also for a relationship with each other specifically, just felt so relatable. And so, yeah, I loved it. Loved it. So yeah, so there are 6 books for you to consider adding to your to be read pile. If any of these have made it onto your to be read pile, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to know what your thoughts on any of them are, so please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. That would be amazing. Say hi in the comments. Let's chat books down there, and I will see you all soon in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye-bye.